Greetings everyone, Nexia is here, and today is going to be your stereotypical PVE Windwalker Monk guide. So this is for 715. I have really been slacking in terms of the guides. I remember when 715 was on its way out, I was totally going to make these, and then for some reason I just never did. But better late than never, I suppose. I know a lot of people will still be, switching over to monks at some point, and then they might come across this video. So this video is to help the few that might still need it at this point. Additionally, 7.2 won't be for a little while still, so, might as well still make it anyway. When 7.2 comes out, I will definitely be on the ball this time, and I will be coming out with some more Windwalker guides in this patch currently as well. Rotation guides and all that different stuff. Now, if you're curious about anything, do check out the playlist. I will put it somewhere on the corner of the video where you can check the other Legion Windwalker guides I have made, whether it's PvP or PvE. So let's get into it. Let's talk about the talent choices for Windwalker monks going into PvE. Now, if you're just here for the quick answer, your best build is going to be Chi Wave, Tiger's Lust, Energizing Elixir, Leg Sweep, Healing Elixir, Hit Combo, and Dragon Punch. That would be 3-2-1, 3-1, 3-2. Now, if you're like me and you want to know more about the class in depth, when you might want to switch out, why these are the best, all that different stuff, the rest of this video will be talking about that kind of stuff. So in terms of the first tier, we have Chi Burst, Eye of the Tiger, and Chi Wave. Now, the reason why Chi Wave is the best is by process of elimination. They're all very close together. It's a very balanced tier, so if you want to use Eye of the Tiger or Chi Burst, you are more than able to without risking too much DPS. It's just, a lot of players out there like to min-max as much as possible, and that's why, Chi Wave will be the best. Personally, my advice, unless you're mythic rating or going super tryhard, play with whatever you prefer. I used to use Hurricane Strike in Warlord's PvE. Hurricane Strike was terrible, but I love the ability so much, I really didn't care about using Chi Explosion. I know it kind of dampens my DPS a bit, but the fact I know how to do mechanics and stuff is way better than somebody who does, a little bit more damage. Not more damage than me, because I can still, do good damage. It's just that, I'm not doing my full potential by using the best build possible. For me, my motto, or whatever, I don't really have a motto, I'm just thinking about this right now, is fun more than min-maxing, really. And that's how I was in PvP as well. I would use Hurricane Strike over Chi Explosion because Hurricane Strike was my favorite ability. So if you want my advice, play whatever you prefer. You don't need to min-max to the very end. If anything, just practice your mechanics, learn the boss fights, do those much better, and it's not going to be that big of a deal. It's really only in the high-end progression where spec and class might matter, and your build, you're doing the complete min-max. Now that we've gotten that crap out of the way, let's talk about the specifics here and the background on the choices. So this tier is very equal. So if you like Chi Burst like me, you can run Chi Burst. I love Chi Burst. It's really cool. The whole Dragon Ball Z Kamehameha. I love this ability, so usually I will use it. So basically the way it goes is Eye of the Tiger. The reason why this is not the best is because, first of all, it's not an actual ability. It's a passive. And the reason why that's bad is because we do run hit combo, which the more different abilities you use, the more stacks of hit combo you can generate, and you will also generate them faster. So having an extra ability, whether it's Chi Burst or Chi Wave, is what really makes the difference, because it synergizes well with the hit combo as well as the mastery, because if you mess up your mastery once, it resets all of your stacks. So if you accidentally run out of abilities to use, well, at least you would have Chi Wave or Chi Burst to get you out of that area. So that's why those are much more valuable than Eye of the Tiger, even though they are very close in terms of DPS and healing. Now, the reason why Chi Wave is the best over Chi Burst is because Chi Wave is half the cooldown, which means you will get more use out of it, more uses basically, which benefits more towards mastery and hit combo. Now, Chi Burst does become way better depending on how many mobs you're hitting. So if you're doing a single target boss fight, Chi Wave is going to be the best, but if you're doing a boss fight like Scorpion in Nighthold, where all those scorpions spawn in, if you time a Chi Burst correctly, you will hit everything. And on top of that, since it heals all of your teammates in that line that it travels, that can also give you some utility there as well, easing a little bit of healing for your healers. So Chi Burst can be valuable in a lot of different cases as well, but generally Chi Wave is the best in terms of single target. Now, in terms of the next tier, this one is entirely up to you. It's really just mobility. Chi Torpedo, if you want the extra, long-term movement speed increase. Celerity is good for extra burst mobility. Tiger's Lust is the most valuable because not only is it different from Roll, because the other two basically go with Roll, basically, but Tiger's Lust is its own ability, which gives you more versatile mobility. But additionally, you can throw it on teammates. For example, if you're doing a Mythic Plus and you're trying to speedrun it, if you're with a DK tank or a warrior tank, they're kind of slow, so you can give them Tiger's Lust to catch them up, basically, or if anyone's falling behind, or if you know somebody that doesn't dodge mechanics quick enough, like, you can generally do that with Tiger's Lust. You can assist some of your raid partners or your dungeon partners by throwing it on them. Every time I do a time walking or a dungeon, I throw it on the tank all the time to speed up the run. So that's just a very good reason why I like Tiger's Lust. It's not only more versatile compared to the other two, but it actually has some utility to it in other ways as well. Now, in terms of the next tier, we have resources, basically. So the most valuable comes from Energizing Elixir, because not only does it give you full chi and energy per minute, but it also has synergy with Storm, Earth, and Fire. So Storm, Earth, and Fire is the new cooldown that we use. We no longer use Serenity like we did in 7.0. Serenity would make the chi costs 0, whereas if you go Storm, Earth, and Fire, everything costs chi still. So you will need chi through Energizing Elixir if you want to maximize. Now, that's one way it synergizes well with your burst in terms of Storm, Earth, and Fire. It gives you that 5 chi and full energy ready for bursting, but additionally, it has some good synergy with our one particular legendary. Let me find it real quick. Right here. So the more chi you spend, the more duration is extended on your Storm, Earth, and Fire. If you Energizing Elixir, you will be able to spend more time spending chi than you would be using Tiger Palm to generate chi. So that would allow you to get a couple extra seconds out of your Storm, Earth, and Fire if you have this legendary. So it's just another good example of synergy with Energizing Elixir compared to anything else with Storm, Earth, and Fire. But not only the synergy, it also gives you more chi and energy per minute compared to the other two. Power Strikes gives you 4 chi per minute, whereas Ascension is complete garbage and you want to ignore this. Now, you can go with Power Strikes if you prefer in single target situations, but generally Energizing Elixir in most cases will be the best, and as much as you might prefer Power Strikes, it really is better to use Energizing Elixir. All I'm really saying is, if you prefer Power Strikes, you can get away with it. Just don't use Ascension is really all I'm saying here. In terms of the next tier, we have Leg Sweep, Black Ox Statue, and Ring of Peace. Now, Leg Sweep is by far the best, as usual, because it locks the enemy mobs down for 5 seconds. This gives you free damage, it prevents them from dodging and parrying, it prevents them from doing any damage to your party. It's just overall more valuable. Ring of Peace kind of does the same thing, just in a different way. It has been redesigned. It blocks a doorway, basically, preventing the mobs from getting to your tank and doing damage. But the way I look at it is Leg Sweep does the same thing. You might as well just use Leg Sweep. It just does it in a better way. Now, for Ox Statue, it doesn't have a whole lot of value, but there is one particular situation that I can see, and that is Mythic Plus. If you're doing a high Mythic Plus, and the weak is Skittish, which makes the mobs drop aggro randomly, basically, they might attack you, your other DPS, your healer. The point is, they won't be attacking your tank, and if you're doing a high Mythic Plus, it could actually cause a wipe or kill somebody in your team. But if you have a statue down that's constantly taunting them when that aggro resets, it will be able to pick it up, and you will be perfectly fine, because they will be attacking your statue instead of you or your teammates. So it does have some value with skittish mobs in Mythic Plus, and that's pretty much it. Alright, for the next tier we have Healing Elixir, Diffuse Magic, and Dampen Harm. Now, I'm getting some frame rate issues here because Fraps is a pain in the ass. I really need to fix OBS. I'm getting some issues with OBS, and I've been too lazy to try and fix it, so I really should move over to OBS at some point very soon here, especially if I want to stream. Fraps is pissing me off, and this is a good example why. It seems to be doing a bit better now. Hopefully it stays that way. Please stay that way. We're almost done. Anyway, in terms of the 75 tier, Diffuse Magic is a good way to mitigate spell damage, and Dampen Harm has been redesigned. It will now mitigate all damage by 20% up to 50%. So if it's a spell casting mechanic, Diffuse Magic is better. If it's a physical mechanic, Dampen Harm is better. If it's a predictable mechanic, that is. So for example, if you know a particular attack is going to happen every time during that boss encounter, and you can negate it with Dampen Harm or Diffuse Magic, you'll want to go with one of those over Healing Elixir. Otherwise, Healing Elixir is the best choice because it will just give you sustained healing over time. So Healing Elixir is the best choice, but if there's a particular mechanic that you want to negate and it's predictable, then you can opt for the other two as well. Now, additionally, for the 90 tier, hit combo is still the best. While it was nerfed in PvP, it has not been touched in PvE, therefore it still has a huge amount of value compared to the other two, so hit combo is still the best choice. Additionally, it works well with our mastery still, and Chi Wave and Chi Burst also help towards generating hit combo as well. So basically 16% damage at all times is just way too much value compared to the other two. However, in 715, they buffed both of these talents, so there will be some situations where you may actually want to pick one of these. So Zwen, for example, his attack power used to be 100% of the monks, but now it's, I believe, 600%, so he received a massive buff. Now, the only time you really want to switch to him in PvE is if you know that boss encounter is going to be 4 or 5 minutes or less, because his cooldown is so long that hit combo slowly begins to get better and better compared to him. So if the boss fight is about 4 or 5 minutes or shorter, Zwen is either equal or at some points even better than hit combo, and that's the only time you would really possibly consider switching to Zwen. Otherwise, hit combo just consistently gets better the longer the fight goes. In terms of rushing Jadewind, if you know there's going to be a lot of cleave, you might actually prefer this. A good example would be Black Rook Hold. If you're doing a Mythic Plus, there's a lot of groups that you group up and then kill. And usually with monks, the way our AoE works, if you take a look here with Spinning Crane Kick, where is it? Right here. The damage is increased by 50% for each unique target you've struck in the last 15 seconds. That takes some build up in order to finally get a decent amount of stacks. But in 715, they added a unique mechanic to Rushing Jadewind where any targets up to 4 that are hit by Rushing Jadewind automatically apply 4 of those marks. So if you're looking to reduce the build-up time of AoE in some particular situations, Rushing Jadewind can be better. Keep in mind it also has the cleave damage on top of that. So if you're doing a particular Mythic Plus or a particular encounter like Scorpion in Nighthold, where a lot of the Scorpions do spawn, or Tichondrius with all of those birds or ghosts or whatever, basically you can cleave them down very quickly with little build-up time, and that's where Rushing Jadewind kind of comes in. And it might still not be better than hit combo in that sense, but you can still use it as a viable choice. The point is that Blizzard has buffed these two talents to where it's not a ridiculous move to switch out to them. So if you like either one of these, you can afford to go with one of them if you prefer. It's just that hit combo is more value, and this is where my advice comes in. I really like Rushing Jadewind, so when I run a Mythic Plus like Black Rook Hold, I will run Rushing Jadewind because any opportunity where this is going to be okay, I'm going to use it because I love this ability. So that's what I really like about 715, is that most of the changes towards our talents were based off buffing some of the terrible ones and, you know, putting more in line some of the other ones. Now, in terms of the final tier, Serenity received a gigantic nerf, and Stormwrath and Fire received a lot of bug fixes as well as general buffs. So between so many buffs to Stormwrath and Fire and the amount of nerfs to Serenity over time, kind of put them in line, and basically Serenity is a lot weaker than Stormwrath and Fire now. Now, Dragon Punch is Stormwrath and Fire. So if you go Chi Orbit or Dragon Punch, this will give you Stormwrath and Fire as your cooldown. This is your baseline cooldown. If you go Serenity, it replaces Stormwrath and Fire. Now, in 715, basically, Serenity no longer reduces the cooldown on your stuff. So, well, it does during the effect. During the effect, it will, but after the effect, it will not. So, for example, if you activate Serenity and your Stormwrath and Fire, Strike of the Windlord goes off and it's at a 14-second cooldown. If Serenity ends right there, the cooldown goes from 14 to 20. So it normalizes those cooldowns when it ends. So the whole purpose of using it in 7.0 is gone, and now Stormwrath and Fire is better. Additionally, Dragon Punch has very good cleave damage, so Mythic Pluses, all that different stuff. It's going to be very good in those situations. On top of that, it's an extra ability for sustained damage, single target damage, whereas Serenity, you don't get an extra ability. So the synergy with hit combo and mastery, all that different stuff, it just adds even more into the reason why Stormwrath and Fire is now the best choice. So overall, those are the talents. Those are when you might want to switch out. I forgot to mention Serenity. When would you want to switch out to this? Basically, if you're facing 5 or more mobs. So if you're doing like a Mythic Plus, you can use it to kind of maximize some AoE damage. But otherwise, personally, I would not bother doing that. I would just go with Dragon Punch. It's already good cleave damage. It's an extra ability for sustained and single target, and Storm Earth and Fire is very good for cleave anyway. So overall, I just think Serenity is pointless. It does have some particular situations, particularly AoE situations, but it has a lot of risk to it, and if you mess up at any point, it's very much worse than Storm Earth and Fire and Dragon Punch. So unless you're like a super pro, like Babylonius or something in Mythic Plus and Mythic Raids, just stick with Dragon Punch and Storm Earth and Fire, basically. Besides, Dragon Punch is so much cooler anyway. It's so much better. That's the talent guide. If you guys have any questions regarding these talents, let me know. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Hope you guys enjoyed this guide. Plenty more coming your way. I am going to get back into making these guides. Somewhere on the screen here in the corner, I will leave a link to my playlist of Windwalker guides if you want to look at some more. Check that out. I hope you guys enjoyed. Any questions, again, leave a comment down below. Thanks guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you on my next video. Bye.